right, 10.2, we're going to learn about area of triangles and trapezoids. So we're going to just kind of formulate or set up, we're going to discover how we develop a formula for a triangle first. A lot of times that helps us really memorize it. We take an area of a trapezoid or a parallelogram. And we know that the area of any parallelogram is equal to base times height. Well, you can take any triangle and form a corresponding parallelogram. Maybe let me show you that for sure. All right, if I make any other type of triangle, let me see, I'll make this one. Bless you. If I have this triangle, I can turn this triangle into a parallelogram by cloning it, the joys of having a smart board, and just rotating it a little bit. And if I combine them, it forms a parallelogram. So any triangle, if I clone my triangle and reattach that, well, what's really the hypotenuses together, you form a corresponding parallelogram. So the area of course, the area of this parallelogram would be base times height. If I wanted to find the area of a triangle, well, I just take half of it. So the area of a triangle is equal to base times height divided by 2. Also known as 1/2 base times height. It's all equivalent. So you need to know that. The area of a triangle is base times height over 2, or 1/2 base times height. All right, I'm going to do a couple examples with you, and what you can expect is you're going to be given lots of dimensions. And your expectation is to be able to identify what the base is of a triangle and what the height is of a triangle. Remember, we identify height. Height is perpendicular to the base. So I can always identify what my height would be by looking at a triangle and seeing what forms a 90-degree line with it. And it looks there like 3 would be my base, or my height, and my base would be what it's connected to. So the area of this triangle would be 8 times 3 divided by 2. 24 over 2, 12 centimeters squared. All right, I want you to do this next one on your whiteboard. Okay, one of my first techniques for this is to write my area is equal to base times height. That's usually always. And then the second thing I want to do is figure out what my base is and figure out what my height is. Okay, looking at this, Josiah, what would be my base of this triangle? 8.2. 8.2. And Josiah, how do you know that?
Because the bottom of it, because the side angles are 5 and 4.
Yeah, but you never know. What if they flipped it? We don't want to think bottom. We want to think, hey, look at how the height is connected to it. And I see the height is, there's a 90-degree angle that's formed to that. The 90-degree angle is always formed to the base. So that's what we're usually always looking for. So my height, Lily, is what? 1.8. 1.8, because it's perpendicular to my base, forming a 90-degree angle. Oh, I forgot, this is supposed to be divided by 2. Area is base times height over 2. So my area then, plugging in, is 8.2 times 1.8 divided by 2 is 7.38 feet squared, right? Okay, you feel okay with that? One thing that I didn't include in the notes that I realize I should is you got things called right triangles. So So I want you to kind of make a subheading that says right triangles. And right triangles, of course, always form that right angle. And it's hard to identify what would the base be of a right triangle and what would the height be. It doesn't matter. They're called the legs that form the 90-degree angles. So legs form a 90-degree angle. Okay, and this thing that connects the legs is called the hypotenuse of the triangle. The legs, though, it doesn't matter. The legs can be the base and the height. It really doesn't matter. Or you can call this the base and that's the height. It really doesn't matter. Okay? So anytime you just look to see what sides are forming the 90-degree angle, and then you can multiply them together and divide by 2. Example. Write it in your notes. So let's say I had this right triangle, and I said, alrighty, find the area of this triangle. Okay, find the area of it. Well, it's a right triangle, so my legs are the ones that form the 90-degree angle. They are my base and height. It doesn't matter which one's which. Remember, your height is formed by a 90-degree angle to your base. So there it is. So my area would be 4 times 5 divided by 2. 20 over 2. 10 units squared. I didn't write the units. Alright, so you'll want to know right triangles too, and knowing what the height and the base is. Alright, to find area of irregular shapes, what we want to know is break it into shapes that we do know. This is not area of shaded regions, and that's what we did with the homework questions yesterday. This is just find an area of some shape that's irregular. It means it's made up of a bunch of different shapes. So if I wanted to find the area of this house front or back, I'm not sure what it is. It looks like a back, the back of my house. I notice that I am given a triangle on top. I also notice that I'm given this square on the bottom. So I'm given that square and triangle. So I just need to add them up. I need to find the area of my triangle. So I'm going to write triangle. Now I need to identify my dimensions. It looks like my height of my triangle is what, class? 9. So, and what's my base? 16. Notice my 16 is right here. That's that length. That's also that length. So my triangle is 16 times 9 divided by 2. Punching it in. 16 times 9 divided by 2 is 72. 72 feet squared is the area of my top, the top part of my house. Now the bottom part of my house is a rectangle. So this is a rectangle. Nuh-uh, because this is 16. And that it looks like a square, right?
That's 10.
No, this is 16.
Yeah, but the other one's 10.
Yeah, the other one's 10, right? So it's rectangle. So my area of my rectangle that looks like a square, I agree with you, class, is 16 times 10, which is 160, right? So my total area, I add them up. I add the top part of my house, 72, plus 160, 232. Don't forget your units, feet squared. I know I stink at remembering my units. Don't be like me, okay? Remember your units. Does that make sense? You'll be asked to do that, okay? Not too much, but you will be asked. Okay, trapezoids. Definition of a trapezoid. We have one set specifically one set of parallel sides. The parallel sides of a trapezoid are called the bases. We call this like base 1 and base 2. Now, I'm going to formulate, notice here, my bases, I just kind of rotated it a little bit, because they'll try to give it to you like that. My bases are the parallel sides, so it would be like B1 and B2. What I usually try to do is my smaller trapezoids are usually always, you got a smaller by a longer base. I usually always call my smaller base B1. It really doesn't matter, okay? Let me formulate for you the area. Let me set it up. Notice what would happen if I let me just group this together and then clone it. Clone, there you are. Now watch what happens if I rotate this and then I connect it. Do you see the parallelogram? Yeah, so we know that a parallelogram, the area is equal to the base times the height. Well, if we formed you can form a parallelogram by cloning the trapezoid. So my base, though, for this parallelogram would really be B1 plus B2, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Because I've just gone, this is B2, this is B1, it's just upside down because I rotated it, times the height, same thing, but instead of leaving it like that, I only had one of them. So I just divide it by 2. That's how we get the formula for an area of a trapezoid. We double the trapezoid up, and then we rotate it, combine it together, make a parallelogram, and notice what the base is. Here's the formula written down for you. B1 plus B2 times height, all over 2. I'm going to quickly go through these examples. They're going to give you tons of dimensions. Your expectation is to be able to pull out what the base is, what the height is, and that's about it. Bases. Trapezoids have bases. So, this first one, my bases would be 7 and 3, right? My parallel sides. So I would go 7 plus 3 times my height. Height is perpendicular to my base. So it would be this, times 2 divided by 2. What's that? 10 times 2 divided by 2, 20 over 2, 10. I know I'm going fast. Going so fast. Okay, the next one, make sure you have one example in your notes at least, okay? You might want to choose to do one that's where I'm representing it on the side, your choice. My area here is going to be base 1 plus base 2, so 6 plus 15, times my height, what's my height? 9. Nice, 9, because 9 is perpendicular to the base. All over 2, which is 21 times 9 over 2.
189.
Did you divide it by 2?
Not yet.
Okay, so 21 times 9, 189 over 2, say that again?
94.5.
94.5 units squared, whatever. Area squared. Okay, this next one, again, bases are the parallel sides. So my area is going to be 3 plus 6 times my height. My height is perpendicular to my bases, that's 1.4 divided by 2. I'm just going to do the setup. I think you're good. This one, how I would set this last one up, again, find my parallel sides, those are my bases. 21 plus 9. Height is perpendicular to the bases, 2.5 divided by 2. And that's how you find area of trapezoids.